What did ancient humans do at night?
Tonight, when the sun goes down, you're going to flip a switch. Light will flood the room and you won't think twice about it. But for 99.9% of human history, that switch didn't exist. When the sun set, the world went dark. You couldn't even see your own hand in front of your face. But modern humans almost never.
That is true. That is true. I always did wonder that because, like, I know it's simple and it's stupid, but once it's night, like it's night, like you only have the moonlight from the sun reflecting. And back in the day, when they didn't have that shit, what did they do? Like, probably just go to bed. But when I think about it, like when it's winter, it's like 6 p.m. and it's nighttime. In the summer, it's like gets to 9 or 8:30 and shit like that. But during winter, like it's just done. And then it's also bright later in the day. So did they just sleep through all of it?
Experience this. For over 300,000 years, every single one of your ancestors spent roughly half their life in near total darkness. They didn't even have candles
That's
for most
valid.
of that time. Just the black sky, the stars, and whatever fire.
That'd be so nice, though. That'd be so nice. Being in a society where it's completely pitch black at nighttime, like I wish I could experience that. Because imagine looking up and seeing the stars. Like that is my biggest thing. I go to the Ozarks a lot, and when I'm there, I'm in like the forest. Like I'm in like low-key the middle of nowhere. And there's like no lights, and I look up and I see all these stars, and I'm like, oh my God, that's beautiful. But I don't get that. I don't get that anywhere else.
They could keep alive. So what did they actually do for all those hours? The answer changes everything we think we know about sleep, storytelling, and what it means to be human. Let's start with fire, because fire is the reason any of this was possible. The earliest solid evidence of humans controlling fire comes from Wonderwork Cave in South Africa.
You're telling me that scientists have pinpointed the exact location of used fire? Like the first time that humans have used fire, and this says 1 million years ago. We've tracked that. How?
1 million years ago. But fire didn't just keep people warm. Fire completely restructured the human day. Before fire, our ancestors were like every other primate. When the sun went down, you climbed a tree or found a sheltered spot and you stayed still. Moving at night meant becoming food.
Do you think, like, I think about humans, and obviously 1 million years ago, humans very different because of evolution. Do you think we were in trees and everything like that? Like, do you think we could swing like Tarzan?
Our eyes are terrible in the dark compared to the predators that hunted us. Leopards, hyenas, wolves, all of them could see just fine. Fire changed that equation overnight. Literally. A campfire creates a circle of safety roughly 30 feet in diameter. Inside that circle, predators won't come. Outside that circle, you die. This is not an exaggeration.
Oh my God.
Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer groups have documented that people who wander away from the fire at night are significantly more likely to be killed by predators.
Well, that just makes sense. Wandering away from the nice warm fire into the pitch black, like, yeah. Half of it is that you don't know where you're walking. If there's fire, you can see the predators. So yeah.
Even today. But here's what's fascinating. Fire didn't just protect humans at night. It gave them something they'd never had before. Extra hours. Think about this. Before fire, the useful day ended at sunset. That's maybe 12 hours in summer, as few as 8 in winter.
See, that's what I was saying. Like in winter, it is significantly cut down.
Fire suddenly added 2 to 4 usable hours to every single day. And over thousands of generations, those extra hours changed our species. In 2014, anthropologists...
Wow, fire really is the cause of everything. The idea of fire is so cool because someone saw it. Someone saw lightning strike. Boom. And all of a sudden, a flame erupted. And then their human brain started ticking and went, what if we can do that again? What if we can do that? And they took their rocks and the stick and then they're like, oh my God, it's working. How did someone think of that, bro? I could never.
Polly Wiesner published a study in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. She spent years recording conversations among the Jew/Huansi Bushmen of the Kalahari Desert, one of the last groups on Earth still living something close to the original human lifestyle. She found was striking.
Wait, really? The original human lifestyle? Wait, that's kind of crazy. What's the group?
Stations among the Jew/Huansi Bushmen of the Kalahari Desert, one of the last groups on Earth.
That's kind of cool. What is that one island that you're not allowed to go to? North Sentinel Island. That is a crazy place because it's just the people have lived in complete isolation for up to 60,000 years. And it's like the fact that so much of our diseases and all the problems that humans have created, they aren't used to that or affected by that. So like if or not affected, if you were to go to that island, like if I was able to go to that island, you would just give everyone a disease. Like everyone would just get a disease because it's like they have no immunity to that. That's just crazy.
Human lifestyle. She found was striking. During the day, about 80% of conversations were practical. Who's hunting where? Which plants are ready? Complaints, logistics, economic negotiations. Daytime talk was work, but at night around the fire, the entire character of conversation changed. At night, 81% of conversations were stories.
Wow.
Tales of people in distant places, adventures, myths about the origins of the world.
That's probably why myths and stuff like spread so fast. It's because at nighttime, like, isn't it weird how dragons are a myth, but both there's like Chinese dragons and there's European dragons, but they're both dragons? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, isn't that weird? But that's just from storytelling. That's just from how they're getting around. And I think that's so cool.
Jokes that made the whole camp laugh. Weisner argued that firelight conversation is where human culture was born. The campfire was the original theater, the original classroom, the original church. It's where humans learned to think beyond the
I guess, yeah, if you think about it like that, it is the original of everything, specifically theater too, because with storytelling is just theater, and theater is just storytelling. And that, wow, that's very interesting.
Present and imagine things that don't exist yet. It's where we became us. But the night wasn't just about stories around the fire. There was something else happening, something that scientists only rediscovered in the last 30 years. You were not designed to sleep the way you sleep right now.
In the last 30 years? Scientists just discovered it in the last 30 years. 1990s? What? That's just crazy how we're always like constantly finding out new things.
In 2001, historian Roger E. Kirsch published a paper that changed sleep science. He had spent 16 years digging through historical records, and he found something nobody expected. Over 500 references, spanning centuries, prayer books from the 1400s, court records, diaries, medical texts, letters from ordinary people, even passages in Homer's Odyssey. All of them mentioned the same thing.
Man, first, I'm excited for the Odyssey movie. That looks good, but there's been a lot of hate about the Odyssey movie.
Sleep and second sleep. Before the industrial age, people did not sleep in one continuous block. They went to bed shortly after sunset, slept for about 4 hours, then woke up. They stayed awake for 1 to 2 hours in the middle of the night. Then they went back to sleep for another 4 hours until dawn. This wasn't insomnia.
Whoa. You're telling me that they went to bed and then everybody woke up, probably not at the same time, but would wake up for an hour or two, hang out, and then go back to bed? Bro, is that why I'm constantly waking up in the middle of the night? Bro, I go to bed and I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I up right now? And I can't fall asleep. Like, I just can't fall asleep. But that's when I'm like coming up with ideas. That's when I get like super innovative, or like the motivation, like the 3 a.m. motivation. Bro, the 3 a.m. motivation when it comes to working out is crazy. And it's weird that it's a universal thing, because I'll be at 3 a.m. and I get up. Wow, I got to change my life around. I got to do this. I do like 10 push-ups. I go back to bed. I wake up. It's all gone. All of that motivation, gone.
A human on the planet slept for thousands of years. And what did people do during that wakeful period in the middle of the night? Everything. A 16th century French physician recommended that couples conceive children during this window because they would do it better. People visited neighbors. They interpreted their dreams while they were still fresh. They wrote.
Wait, what? Someone said that they would make children because they do it better at this time? Why? That's crazy. You're telling me that a husband and wife would wake up at around the same time in the middle of the night and go, let's fuck. Let's fuck. Let's do that.
Simply lay in bed in the dark and thought. A doctor's manual from the 1500s advised patients that the best time to study and reflect was during the watch, as they called it. The quiet hours between.
That's such a tough name. The watch? That's awesome.
between first and second sleep when the mind was calm and the world was still. Now, historians had been reading these references for centuries, but they kept translating first sleep as something else because they
Oh.
couldn't imagine that people ever slept differently than we do now. The assumption was so deep that
Oh.
translators literally mistranslated ancient Greek and medieval Latin to make it fit their modern experience. But then science
This is like The Hobbit. This is like The Hobbit. First dinner, second dinner. First lunch, second lunch. Wow. Maybe humans are just hobbits after all.
confirmed what history had been saying all along. In 1992, psychiatrist Thomas Ware at
Bro,
the
the
National
misunderstandings that come from mistranslations is so bizarre in the world. Because, well, it's not bizarre, it makes sense, it's only human. But the fact that there's so much ancient text where everyone is saying the same thing because they experienced it, but then each time you translate it to a new language, it gets mistranslated. So that's why all over the world, the same event is literally thought of differently, even though it's the same thing. Like if we're talking about true historical real things, but it's only different because throughout time, it just got misinterpreted and mistranslated. That's just crazy to me. It's crazy to me that this world has been going on for so long, and it's such an existential thing to think about.
Institute of Mental Health ran an experiment. He took a group of volunteers and removed all artificial light from their lives. For 1 month, they experienced 14 hours of darkness every night, just like our ancestors would have before fire extended the evening.
14 hours of
every
dark.
single participant settled into the same pattern. 4 hours of sleep, 1 to 3 hours of quiet wakefulness, then 4 more hours of sleep.
That's
Nobody told them to do this.
So maybe I need to start doing that.
Nobody suggested it. Their bodies just did it, as if some ancient program had been waiting inside them the whole time, buried under centuries of artificial light. Ware measured their hormone levels during the wakeful period and found something remarkable. The participants were in a state unlike any normal waking state. Their brains were producing elevated levels of prolactin, the same hormone released during meditation and after orgasm. They described
they're experiencing orgasms for 1 to 3 hours. Maybe this is the method. Maybe we figured something out here. Interesting.
feeling peaceful, reflective, almost meditative. It wasn't just a gap in sleep, it was its own distinct
So that's like meditation period. Wow, maybe I need to adapt this into my own life.
state of consciousness, one that most modern humans have never experienced. So what killed it? The answer is simpler than you'd think.
Fire.
Light. In the
Yeah, light.
1600s, cities began installing street lamps. Paris was one of the first.
Man, I bet street lamps and like the idea of electricity just ruined everything that ancient humans evolved to be. Like, yes, there's constant evolution in this world, but like electricity is probably going to be the downfall of humanity when it comes to convenience. Because like right now, I'm getting all of my stimulation and all of my dopamine right in front of my computer, and I'm just watching this shit. And that's a killer. That is why doom scrolling is terrible. All good if I can be faker. You know what? I like that mentality, because if we can all be faker, then yeah, okay. But electricity, like, it's just the idea of convenience probably crash and burn all of the evolution and shit that ancient humans have like prepared us for.
Under Louis XIV, who wanted to reduce crime, London followed. The night, which had been a place of danger and fear, slowly became navigable. Then came cheaper candles. Then gas lamps in the 1800s.
Gas lamps.
Then, in 1879,
Yep.
Thomas Edison commercialized the electric light bulb.
Oh,
and within a generation,
electricity.
the night as humans had known it for 300,000 years was gone. And here's the part nobody talks about. The word curfew comes from the French couvre-feu. It literally means cover fire. In medieval towns, a bell would ring at night, signaling everyone to cover or extinguish their fires. Not because of safety, because night was supposed to be dark. Night was when you slept. Night was when you were vulnerable. For most of history, being out at night was suspicious. In many
That is fair. But a lot of people find the night relaxing. I find the night relaxed. I love to just sit out in the dark and look at the stars. But I guess that's what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be looking at the stars at nighttime. But I think we're supposed to biologically be afraid of the night. But I feel like that's becoming less of a thing because of lights. Yes, light pollution. Light pollution ruins everything, bro. The beauty of the night.
Evil European cities, walking outside after dark without a lantern was literally illegal. Night belonged to criminals and the supernatural. People feared it in a way that's almost impossible for us to understand today. And then we conquered it. We flooded it with light, and we thought that was progress. But here's what we lost. Modern humans are exposed to artificial light an average of 7 to 8 hours after sunset. This light, especially the blue light from screens, suppresses your body's production of melatonin, the hormone that regulates sleep. Your body doesn't know the difference between a light.
That's probably why doctors tell you to put your phone away for 30 minutes or like an hour before you go to bed, because looking at your phone just like ruins everything about sleep.
Sun. When light hits your retina at 11 p.m., your brain interprets it as daytime. It delays melatonin release. It fragments your sleep. It disrupts the circadian rhythm that evolved over millions of years. Researchers have found that people who go camping for just 1 week with no artificial light at all have their melatonin cycles reset by nearly 2 hours. Their bodies start producing melatonin at sunset instead of hours after it. That's all it takes for 300,000 years of programming to reassert itself.
Like right now, what? It's 7:30. I should be going to bed right now. In that case, like it should be bedtime roughly in an hour or two.
Change when we sleep. We eliminated an entire phase of human consciousness. That quiet, reflective state between first and second sleep, the state that Vare's subjects described as peaceful and meditative, doesn't exist anymore for most people. Instead, we have insomnia, and we treat it like a disorder. But what if it's not a disorder at all? What if waking up at 2 a.m. and lying there in the dark isn't your body malfunctioning? What if it's your body remembering what it was built to do?
Wow. That's actually crazy. Wait, that's actually insane. What if insomnia isn't a disorder, or like we shouldn't, like, what if not being able to sleep shouldn't be treated like a disorder? Because what if it's what we're meant to do? That is kind of crazy. Yeah, this is, maybe when I wake up in the nighttime, I just need to start doing something. Maybe I need to read a book or write down. Maybe I should journal. Maybe I need to start dream journaling. Oh, gooning. That's a good one. Maybe for 2 hours straight after you wake up, you just got to start gooning. They did say that is when people would have kids, because that time was just, they'd simply do it better. Maybe that's the method.
300,000 years, your ancestors spent their nights in a rhythm that modern science is only beginning to understand. They gathered around fires and told stories that built civilizations. They slept in 2 phases with a window of quiet reflection in between. They lived in darkness so complete that the Milky Way wasn't something you had to drive to a national park to see.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Just the sky. And every night when they woke in the dark between first and second sleep, they lay there in silence and thought about their lives, their dreams, and the world they would wake up to in the morning. We traded all of that for a light switch, and most of us never even knew it was gone.
That is actually kind of crazy. Like the idea of meditation during that period, like I always get upset when I wake up in the middle of the night, because I'm like, wow, I could be using this time sleeping. But then if the ancient humans are actually supposed to be sleeping like that, like if they slept in the period, like completely eliminating a sleep cycle is crazy, because we think that it's normal one way, but for millions of years, it's been another way. But since 300 years ago or some shit like that, it has only been 8 hours of pure sleep going through it. Waking up in the middle of the night is fire. I usually don't do around 3 or 4. Dude, I always wake up at 4. For the past week, I've been waking up at 4. And I bet some of it is a little bit of a disorder or like insomnia. But I think that maybe I should not be stressed about it as much as I usually am. But I usually go to bed late. So maybe that's the problem, is that I go to bed late at like a 2 a.m., sleep for couple hours, and then I wake up at 4 and I'm like, wow, I need to get 8 hours of sleep. So that probably ruins everything. The 3 a.m. motivation rush makes sense now. Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. What did ancient humans do at night? Go check it out. What a video. What a video.